Hey guys, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Joe Merrick, webmaster of Serebii.net, and Chuggaaconroy to discuss all the latest info that's been released on Pokémon Sun and Moon and what might be shown off of the game during the E3 Treehouse event. So let's get started. Well guys, a lot of new information has come out about Sun and Moons with the second trailer, plus a lot of other stuff, plus Nintendo is actually going to be showing off actual gameplay of the game during this Treehouse event, and I just wanted to get all of our thoughts before, well, E3 took place next week. So just right off the bat, Emil, what do you think so far of what they've shown of Sun and Moon?
Well, I'm kind of still in the camp of we don't know a lot of concrete details about the game. There's a lot of speculation going around, which is going to happen when they're not saying a lot about it. Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued by the setting a lot. This is our third Pokemon region after Ore and Unova that is based on a location in the United States. We're only one away from catching Japan on that.
About time.
Which I think is interesting, yeah. So I think that the setting is really cool. I do like just the general style that they've gone for in the game. It has a very different look and feel from Hoenn, so I don't think it'll be too samey to the setting that we just had in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. That's probably what intrigues me the most. I like the legendaries, all those things. I'm, of course, excited over actual gameplay. So.
Yeah, that is pretty exciting. Real quick, though, since I don't think I've had you on since Sun and Moon's been revealed, what do you think of the starters? Who is your favorite?
I'm gonna sound super generic by saying Rowlet, but yeah, that's really what I gotta say. I do kind of like all of them, though, so I can't really say that I dislike any of them. I'd actually probably say that I like Litten the least, but that's not to say that I don't like Litten.
I'd actually agree with you. My order, as I've said before, is Popplio, Rowlet, Litten. Litten's fine, but it's just nothing. It looks like a cat to me. That's about it.
Well, you have all the necessities for it to be Hawaii there. Litten is the lava, both in its liquid form as well as, dry and cracked. Popplio is the sea life, and Rowlet's the coconut.
Exactly. I like that. Oh, boy. Well, what about you, Joe? What do you think about this new information that's come out on Sun and Moon?
I like it. I mean, it's not really that much. I mean, the Rotom Pokedex is, frankly, amazing. And it's good to know stuff about the legendary Pokemon, Solgaleo and Lunala. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy with how they've shown it, because they've not shown too much, but they've shown enough.
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, we really, in the grand scheme of things, we really don't know that much. Yet what they have shown is intriguing to me. As you said, the Rotom Pokedex, that is huge. To have such a different Pokedex. And what I found very intriguing about it is that I don't think we're getting a town map, at least not in the traditional sense, because it is literally part of the Rotom Pokedex.
Well, what I like about the map is that it appears to have destination points on it. So a lot of people have gone on about how the game's getting simplified, and a lot of people are concerned about that. And basically what the Rotom Pokedex seems to me is a way to get around that, to keep the game complex, to keep the game saying, you've got all these things to do, and this is where you have to go in case you are a kid and you're not sure, or in case you've got a terrible memory. And I'm really liking that, assuming that's how it is.
Xenoblade has something like that where it has markings on the map telling you where all your objectives are, and I don't think that's overly simplified. I think it's just nice and convenient, because if you stop playing the game for a bit and come back to it, you know exactly what you were in the middle of doing and don't have to remember what it was you were in the middle of doing when you come back to it. And with the town map being incorporated into the Rotom Pokedex and it being like a quest manager and all that, quite honestly, it'll be the first time the Pokedex is something that people actually bring up in normal gameplay.
That is a good point. The thing that just mystifies me the most about that is that the last couple games, like Unova and Kalos, was pretty straightforward in where you needed to go. It was literally basically a circle in most cases.
Unova is a literal circle.
Yeah, exactly. Or a straight line to go from point to point to point, maybe meeting up some places like with Lumio City. But with this having points, that tells me that there's going to be much more exploration than Pokemon's had in the last couple generations. And I'm actually kind of excited about that, because as I was replaying Red and Blue, it is kind of strange how you go up and around, and it's not town to town. You actually have to skip over a few towns, return to a few, and you're sort of going all over Kanto before getting to the end. So it seems like a return and maybe an expansion of that sort of exploration that the original generation had.
After the rock tunnel, there's so many ways there's so many things you can do, so many ways you can go, and so many orders in which you can tackle all these different objectives. Because if you want, you can just go straight for the Poke Flute and go to Fuchsia Gym and fight that first. But alternatively, you could stick around Lavender Town for a little bit and fight your rival, or you could choose to fight the rival later on if that's a hard fight for you. There's so many things you can do in so many different orders.
I think that basically having the quest points, as Emil says, it's kind of a way to get back to it, because I think a lot of people got turned off in Diamond and Pearl when you ended up backtracking a lot, and so many people ended up getting lost in Mount Coronet.
Sinnoh represent.
Yeah, I actually caught a lot of flack for not enjoying Sinnoh quite as much as other people, even though I can't hate Sinnoh at all, because that's the generation that got me back into Pokemon. So, there really isn't any generation I outright hate. Just, some I prefer over others. But, speaking of the map, we did get that super high quality version of it that, almost like a watercolor painting showing off the 4 different islands, that central man-made island, and what looks to be just a ton of different locations. And I tried to go over the map as precisely as I could, but there are a lot of smaller towns. It actually feels weird that the biggest town seems to be the one on your island. And I'm just curious what you guys think about the structure of the map so far and how it all seems to be turning out as far as the locations you'll visit and the towns you'll see and whatnot.
I would say that the structure of the maps, a lot of the time, it's rarely what we think it will be when the game actually comes out. Mm-hmm. I remember in Kalos, a lot of people were saying that it didn't look like there were that many big towns at first, but it didn't turn out to be that way.
Yeah, that is true.
Just because things are shrunken down on the map a lot. And then, heck, you had situations like you had the new Hoenn in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire where a lot of it was covered in clouds and that kind of thing. Just to kind of hide key details from you, or heck, even with Black and White 2, Unova a few years later, it was all encased in ice and you could only see certain parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is the concern that, there's so many Pokemon centers, but there's nothing around them. Like, where's the towns? But as Emil said, most maps, they're not like one-to-one replicas of the region in the game. But there are elements to the map, like the city and the island that you start on. Based on what we've seen, it does appear to be one-to-one, so it's definitely making me raise an eyebrow as to what's going on. Mm-hmm. So, hopefully the region will be a bit more fleshed out than it looks like. I have faith in Game Freak. I mean, they haven't let me down yet, so...
That is true.
Well, except for a certain remake, but we don't talk about that.
Oh boy, but well, I guess before we move on to what they might show at E3, what are you guys' hopes for the game? Like, what is one thing that you really want to see in Sun and Moon? Like, just as a sort of a dream feature or something that you wanted to see implemented for a while. Joe?
Basically, I'd just like to see a lot more interaction between the Pokemon and the overworld. I mean, a lot of people want to get rid of HMs, and yeah, I can agree to that at some points, even though HM usage has been dropped considerably. But I'd like to see, I mean, even though we've got the tall grass, I'd like to see more Pokemon out in the overworld to make it seem like a more bustling, region. The Dexnav did kind of help push to that, because you could, randomly see a head of a Rolls in the grass. But I'd like something a bit more than that. I realise it's 3DS and we're not likely to get much on that, but that's what I hope. Never know.
Yeah, that sounds like a good hope to me. I mean, that is sort of, like, you see all this artwork of Pokemon often, and it's always Pokemon everywhere and people interacting with them and seeing how they're just like part of the city. Like, that's why I really liked about the Detective Pikachu opening, because you could see all the Pokemon just around the city. And I agree with you. I'd love to see just Pokemon in general being all around. And we kind of got the sense of that because there was a Slowpoke on the beach, but more like that.
I think in the development of XY, they were saying that we were going to see a lot more Pokemon in the overworld, but it didn't actually happen. I'm wondering if maybe they ran into technical issues with it, like you were saying about it being 3DS, so maybe you can't really expect a lot of character models at one time. But one thing that I want to see, and this is something that I've said for a while, and I don't feel like this would compromise the design of the game whatsoever, is still have the HM moves in there for puzzle solving, and still have them in there for variety in the gameplay, and so that you have different abilities available to you to make the world interesting, but have it be that the badges or whatever gives the trainer the capability to execute these moves themselves. It would not compromise the design of how Pokemon games are put together if it's still hidden behind badges and story progress to gain access to these moves. But if it were the trainer executing them, you wouldn't have to teach them to your Pokemon, and it would also make the trainer feel like it fulfills a much more important role in getting through the region than it currently does.
Mm-hmm. That's actually a really interesting concept.
That's what I've always wanted to see. I feel like it's the most non-invasive way that you could, I guess, fix HM moves. There are definitely good HM moves out there, like Waterfall and Surf see competitive use, of course, but you can still leave the moves in existence, but just have the trainer able to execute them as field skills.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Pretty cool, yeah. I like that.
I did see one idea. I mean, it's completely ridiculous, but basically, I can't remember where I saw it. It was fairly recently, obviously. But basically, they had the idea of there being, like, things blocking your way, but nearby there's, like, an item, and basically, once you get the badge, your Rotom can possess the item from your Pokedex. So, like, if you've got a tree in the way, there's a chainsaw nearby, and your Rotom comes out and just turns into the chainsaw, and that replaces HM moves. You know, it's completely ridiculous. That will never happen, but that would be hilarious.
Just a chainsaw? Granted, a chainsaw Rotom would probably be incredibly powerful.
No kidding.
Gosh, it could have, like, leaf blade and stuff like that.
Oh my. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of thinking that Rotom will probably just stay in the Pokedex, otherwise you have a 7th Pokemon.
Yeah. It would be kind of nice if you could... could you imagine battling using your Pokedex?
Oh my gosh. That would be amazing.
No, I'm just a little surprised we haven't actually gotten more Rotom forms by this point, because when they made 5 of them all at one point, and then they gave them individual types in 5th generation, I thought it was going to basically be an Eevee, where we just would keep getting Rotoms of new types as time went on. Heck, I guess on the subject of Rotom forms, I remember I thought that when they revealed the silhouettes of them, that the fan Rotom, I remember thinking it was a Sandstorm cast form, because the silhouette really does look like it, but...
Oh, okay.
I'm getting off on a tangent.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, the thing with Rotom, and I even kind of forgot about this, is... Do you think it'll actually allow us to talk to Pokemon, since the Rotom is obviously able to speak to us?
It's possible, but it goes back to the person in, what is it, Devoncorp in Ruby and Sapphire said about creating a device to talk to Pokemon. So, and they often do come back to these things, like they did with Muna, because there's a person in Route 10 who says, oh, I wish there was a pink Pokemon with a floral pattern, and oh look, now there is. So... I don't know, they might. I doubt it would be every Pokemon in the overworld. I mean, you don't want to go too far with it. Because if every Pokemon spoke, it would kind of... I don't want to say ruin it, but it would ruin it.
Well, what you were saying, actually, with the Devon Corporation, there is a line in the original Devon Corporation that says that they were looking to create a device that visually reproduces the dreams of Pokemon, which that did also come to be within that same room. I think the Pokedex would be more of a translator than anything else, and not just have the Pokemon speaking, though they have kind of been playing around with that more with things like Detective Pikachu, so maybe.
Yeah, this way I kind of envision it, if they allow for that sort of functionality, is maybe not talk to every Pokemon, just the Pokemon on your team, since you actually have a bond with them. And the other idea is maybe just like you can use once you get the Pokedex and unlock that functionality, perhaps you can talk, like go up to the Slowpoke that we saw on the beach and talk to the Slowpoke. He might not respond right away because he's a Slowpoke, but you know, it's still something. Get you a little bit more info.
I just certainly hope that this talking Rotom that's going to be managing quests for you and stuff like that, I hope it doesn't become, like, the Navi of this series, where people just loathe it because it never stops telling them what to do. Well, actually, no. Worse than Navi would be Nia from a Pokken tournament. She is the worst.
Oh, yes.
I remember that I tweeted out one night the Nia in, or whatever her name is, I think it's Nia.
Yes, Nia.
Nia in Pokken tournament is the worst thing ever made by a human. And when I went to bed after tweeting that, I woke up the next morning and I had like 400 retweets or something like that. It was so funny to see that. And all I saw were a mixture of three things. People saying, yes, oh my god, you understand me. Other people saying, it's not as bad if you switch it to the Japanese audio, or how dare you make fun of her, she's hot.
Because,
I don't think Rotom will have the hotness to fall back on.
No, I don't think so.
Heat Rotom might.
There you go.
Wait, what, Rotom?
Heat Rotom.
Heat Rotom.
Heat Rotom? Okay.
Yeah, no,
Well, I mean, you see, after it uses hotness, though, its special attack gets lowered twice, though, so it can't rely on that multiple times. You see,
if we're lucky, they'll at least do the thing that they did with Nia and allow you to turn it off if you don't want it, because even at the lowest setting, she does not shut up.
You're losing HP.
No kidding. Thank you.
I also like how, like, you'll lose and she'll just be like, oh man, that was rough. And then, like, you'll win and she'll be like, hey, looks like all my advice is paying off. It's just,
what did you do?
I'm just like, I want to strangle you.
Yeah. Oh, that was...
Picking a support set is always hard, said no one ever. Reshiram is just the best.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, I don't mean to let my hate for...
Oh no, it's fine. I mean, but
video.
you do raise a good point. That is a legitimate concern with Rotom being able to talk to you, and with it being kind of a guide, it might be just too intrusive for older players, or just everybody in general, depending on how much he talks. So that is a legitimate concern. But I guess moving on to E3 specifically is, what do you think they'll show off at the Treehouse event? How long do you think they'll go, and do you think they'll show off new Pokemon? Do you think they'll just show off the opening area? What are you expecting to see?
It's really hard to discern. I mean, in 2013 with Pokemon X and Y, we had a lot of information come from E3, from the Direct in 2013. Yeah, where we ended up with new Pokemon of Litleo's at the round table, but Helioptile, Vivillon, Noivern, Fairy type, and so forth. And then in 2014 with Auras, we got the new Mega Evolutions for Sceptile and Swampert, Primal Groudon, Primal Kyogre, and the next day we got Mega Sableye. So I think we're definitely going to get new Pokemon next week. I think that's pretty much very likely, especially if they're going to show gameplay footage, because if they're going to show gameplay footage, chances are it's going to be around the start of the game. So we're likely to see early Pokemon, and so the weird bird Pokemon that we saw in the initial announcement in the wireframe, I reckon that is going to end up being shown off at E3.
Mm-hmm. And whatever that Pokemon that people saw during that second Japanese trailer in the opening town, that'll probably be shown as well, since it's just hanging out.
Yeah.
This is just the generation of unveiling new Pokemon with their butts. But yeah, we have a lot of Pokemon that are facing away from the camera. I could see that being in there. What I want to see is another time where we have a really subtle detail revealing a new Pokemon, like that one quadruped that's facing away from the camera, or indeed that bird that we don't know what it actually looks like. During X and Y, they did a trailer. They did a trailer at Worlds that year, and for one frame, I think it's standing next to like a Mega Venusaur or something like that, you can see Furfrou, and that was before Furfrou was officially released. And I remember that was causing a huge spark of people just wanting to know what that was.
That was the September Pokemon Direct, not Worlds.
Okay, September Direct, yeah. It was that you could see Furfrou really briefly, but of course it was a video, so it wasn't the best quality, and you could only kind of see it even when you paused. And I remember that people were speculating, like, what is that? Like, is that like a mega of like something, or just like, what is it? It wound up not being terribly exciting what it was, but it made what would have been a mundane reveal into something really compelling and interesting and a conversational piece. And that's the kind of thing that I think makes Pokemon such a thing that can be talked about just for at length.
Oh yeah, I mean, just even with that Pokemon that we've already gotten a glimpse of, I put forth the idea that it might be a Pomeranian. Then people came up back with it. No, it actually might be closer to the Inushiba dog. And the whole idea that it might be, like, I had another idea what it might be the pre-evolution of Stantler, because nothing's been done with Stantler since 2nd gen, so...
We haven't had a new baby Pokemon, I think, since Sinnoh. At least not one that was made for a previously existing Pokemon, because all the babies have been stuff like Larvesta, which were introduced at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I love that kind of speculation, people putting forth their ideas and, like, really looking to animals and trying to figure out what they could be or what it could be based on. I don't know, I find that really fun.
I really enjoy the build-up to the games because it really gets community talking. It really gets them getting imaginative. We end up seeing like a silhouette and we get all these ridiculous fakes about it, and as much as I hate having to tell people, no, this is fake, no, this is fake, no, this is fake, I've actually got a prepared response now in the emails due to the amount of fakes we've been getting. But it's great to see the community so engaged, so excited, and so showing Pokemon just like at a glance, even if it's not a full-on reveal like we got with Sylveon, we got with Noivern, we got with Clauncher, and so forth. So if it's just a brief view of it, just it hanging around, like they're not calling attention to it. They did it with Skiddo in Pokemon X and Y because there was a Skiddo in the background of screenshots. It gets the community talking, and that's when the community is at the best it can be, because it's getting speculatory and it's not people going for each other's necks.
You should feel very proud. There's a reason why the term Serebii approved trademark is a thing. I do have to wonder, like, I'm sure it's happened because the site has been around for about 17 years at this point. But, like, can you remember a time where you did report a fake as being actually real?
There have been a few times. But humans make mistakes.
Yeah. I'm not, like, ragging on you or anything. I was just curious if that had ever happened, though, because I can't remember a time that it did.
There have been some really convincing fakes in the past years.
Yeah.
Because the community have gotten so good at it.
They have. Just all those fake magazine scans that you see.
The designs that the community makes are they're really good for the most part.
People have sort of figured out the Pokemon art style and have gone off of that, which, you know, does make it tricky, but that's why I sort of have this policy of wait until it's officially revealed. That's, like, unless I can see it in a trailer, I'm not buying anything that people offer up to me just because people are so good now. And I saw it with Smash Bros. And you see it again with Pokemon. So, I guess going off of that, I wonder if during the show, like, if maybe they'll not show it off fully, but hint at it in the same way that Mega Mewtwo was hinted at, like where they show it but they don't tell you what it is. Do you guys think the whole idea of synchro with Pokemon is going to be a thing? The whole synergy idea, where the trainers and Pokemon are able to essentially fuse like Ash and Greninja in the anime. Do you think they might show that off if it is a real thing? I guess that's the first question: is do you think it'll be a real thing? And if you do you think they'll show it off or at least hint at it during E3?
Well, they don't fuse, to be fair. But it's just basically being in complete sync with each other.
Yeah, the whole mind meld thing.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it's not in Sun and Moon, because they have been building it up in the anime for so long now. And it's the same with Zygarde, because Zygarde's got all the multiple forms, and they haven't shown up in the main games. I'd be very surprised if they're not in Sun and Moon. So I think they're going... What they might do is they might just hint at it, like they hinted in Pokemon X and Y's initial reveal. It says, the more you play with your Pokemon, the stronger your bond will become, or something to that extent. So I imagine if we get a trailer before the Treehouse Live segment, there might be like a tag like that. And that could then lead into the reveal of Synchro in the games at a later point.
That would make sense.
Whether it'll be revealed specifically at E3, I don't think so, but it's possible.
The whole Synchro thing, Zygarde and all that, they've been building up way too... Like, it's so weird, because there's just been, like, years of build-up toward all these different things. Either the synchronization, the Zygarde forms, the fact that, heck, you were talking about an overarching storyline across multiple games, the whole Azoth thing that is being worked on, and they have foreshadowed things like this in the past. I recently mentioned Regigigas as an example of this, how Regigigas is mentioned in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire.
It's not beyond Pokemon to hint at things that are coming in the future, which is why a lot of these theories and things that people are picking up from in the games, carries at least some weight behind it. So do you think they'll actually show it off or at least hint at it during E3?
I could see a little throwaway line actually being important, or a little throwaway detail being important, because I think Pokemon is all about doing that, and not just in reveals. Even in the games themselves, they do that a lot. Because you never know just what little NPC text or what just random seemingly mundane thing ends up being important later on. It seems like something that the team really enjoys doing. Serebii was talking earlier about how a pink Pokemon with a floral pattern ended up actually being something important later on. And that's just one such line. There's a lot of little ones. Heck, even mundane lines themselves become important, like shorts being comfy and easy to wear.
Yeah, I saw today on Twitter somebody had mentioned, like, they showed off that couple in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire that was made up of a Magma Grunt and an Aqua Grunt, and how they left the team in order to, be together because they love each other. And people, of course, pointing out the blue and white shirt on the male protagonist in Sun and Moon, and the magma-shaped designs on the shoes of the female trainer. And, like, could this be their offspring? And I'm like, that's an interesting idea, but I don't buy it. But I like how people pick, like because of this, ideas that have been put forth by Pokemon and how all these minor details become important. People are starting to, like, which ones are going to be it? Which ones are going to be the ones that tie this all together?
that would be cool. They do say it all comes together in an all new game, Pokemon Sun and Moon. So who knows? When you were mentioning a couple. My mind defaulted to something really terrible, and this is off topic though, but...
Oh, go ahead.
There's, one of my favorite little details is that, there is a young couple in, Pokemon Heart Gold Soul Silver. I think it's on one of the new routes that's outside of Cianwood City. And in this double battle, this young couple, their team, the boy has an Onix and the girl has a Cloyster.
Oh, God.
It was so...
I'm facepalming right now. I knew you were going there.
Yeah, you knew about it too. Like, it's one of those things that makes you just kind of double take and be like, is that intentional? And then just like,
it has
somebody
to.
was having a fun time that day.
It has to be. Look at Kirby and the whole naked lady made out of blocks thing in the original game. They sneak that kind of stuff in and try to be coy about it. I would not be shocked if that was intentional.
It's so funny.
Oh, it is great. It really is.
Actually, one thing that I think just makes the Pokemon series stand up with time so well is that, when you go back and play Red and Blue, there is so little of it that is mundane, even if it was at the time, because of just how many lines have been made into sensations by the fans, how many Pokemon ended up becoming important to things later on, how many things ended up serving a purpose in later games, continuations of minor plots, things like that. Yeah,
it's a great example of world building, and it's so easy for somebody to look at Pokemon and you're like, gee, I wonder if the plot will be is I'm a new trainer, I go through 8 gyms, I have a rival, I beat an evil team and try to become the Pokemon champion. Yeah, they all have that shared thing, but there's it's the window dressing that makes each Pokemon generation interesting and different and fun to go through. I mean, if it was just those steps every time and only those steps, I don't think the interest would have lasted as long. There's a lot more to it that keep people drawn in.
Yeah, I completely agree. And they are foreshadowing blatantly now. And that can help keep people drawn in, like the backpacker, which goes through the hotels in X and Y. he mentions about his home region, and you have to talk to him in another day. He gives you more, and he gives you more. He says, oh, the region's not Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, or Kalos. It's like, oh, what is it? And then he gives you the strange souvenir, and he mentions a battle facility, well, a facility that you wouldn't believe, and no, look, there's a facility in the middle of the Alola region.
There's also the fact that strange souvenir is a tiki head.
So there's definite world building.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the whole mystery of that ghost girl that people have been like, that she appears up as like, no, you're not the one, and then she makes another appearance in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
There's the that ghost girl. She's in Black and White and Black and White 2 as well. If you want to say that she's the same one, they tell the story. They tell the story about how she had like an Abra or something though. But yeah, she disappears on the bridge in the original Black and White, and then she's in the house in Black and White 2. They seem to have something about dead little girls that they enjoy about Pokemon so much.
Yeah, I mean, we even have that little girl from Phoebe.
Yeah, and there are ghosts in the old chateau.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh yeah.
I love like that. That's great. Little details that keep bringing you back in. Is like, will they answer this? Will we get more teases? What will they show? And I don't know. I just find it to be a lot of fun to see what they go on. And I think that's why I had so much fun with this theory video. And I'll be the first to admit, I have no idea if this is going to end up entirely true or not when it comes to this alchemy and planetary alignment theory that what came for us. But so much of it matches up so well that I have a feeling at least some of this has to be right. I don't know which parts or how much of it, but it has to be right in some portions here and there. I believe you both watched it, or at least read the script for it. And what do you guys, just on a surface level, what do you guys think of this theory?
I do think it might be overthinking it, but there is a definite, like with the lore about the lion that eats the sun.
Yeah.
There is that in history, and that did have something to do with alchemy as well. So I think there is a definite probable link. Whether the theory is completely how it's going to play out, I don't know. But I think there's some merit to it. There's definitely a lot pushing it, a lot behind it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and don't feel bad if you say, like, you can just tell me, like, this is pure rubbish. This is, what the hell are you thinking? No, I will not take it bad at all, take it poorly at all, because I get it. Like, I thought, like, I just kept seeing these connections as I was making it, and it was like, there's no way, right? But I had to enter it and see what was part of it, and see how deep this went. And a lot of times it just came to these crazy connections, like the whole shaman thing, and all the symbols appearing or in some way, or alchemic symbols appearing in some way or form on the new starter Pokemon. I don't know if I buy it or not, but I love that those possibilities are there.
I'm all for the theory having some merits to it and parts of it being right. I'm not opposed to any of it. I just really hope that alchemy means what alchemy actually means in this thing, because I swear, alchemy just means whatever the heck they wanted to. It never means turning lead into gold. In any kind of fictitious work, alchemy is like...
It's magic.
It's like shifting the ground with your hands and lighting things on fire with your mind while shooting lightning bolts out of your pinky toes or something like that. It's like... No, it's turning lead into gold.
Or the alchemy pots where you just put it. All it is just combining two items in other games. But yeah, well, we already have the gold in there with kind of with Solgaleo and possibly Ho-Oh. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it just goes back to the idea of like, there's so many little things that Pokemon adds that could be major later on. But, yeah. But, well, I guess any other final thoughts on what we know about Pokemon Sun and Moon so far?
What I do like is, based on the types of the legendaries, how they're both weak to what we would consider the type focused on Sun and focused on Moon. Mm-hmm. Like, Solgaleo is weak to Fire and Lunala is weak to Dark. I kind of like that, and a lot of people say, oh, they've just messed up. And I think, no, there's a definite reason for that. They're definitely thinking ahead with this. There's definitely a reason, and I want to know what that reason is, because it's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't think I fully realized that. Like I knew it, but I didn't think about it, I guess is the best way to do it. What about you, Emil? How are you feeling so far?
As for other hopes, I try to not overthink things too much and like have a picture in my mind that's very different from what the product ends up actually being, because what you imagine is always cooler than what somebody else thinks of. Because you know the whole process of making that in your own mind. But the HM thing is probably my biggest one outright. I don't think I can think of anything bigger than that.
But yeah, I'd say, I mean, in general, I have done these crazy videos so far with the analysis and theories and all that, but I still think I have a grounded expectation. I don't imagine any of this stuff will actually happen in any way, shape, or form. I'm just ready to be surprised and see what they have to show, and I'm really looking forward to this Treehouse event and seeing what they do show off. So... But, alright, I think that covers it for our Pokemon discussion. So thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And, Joe, where could they find you at?
At Serebii.net.
Obviously, and did you want to plug your Twitter at all, or just stick with Serebii?
Well, you can find me personally at Joe Merrick.
Alright, cool. And, Emil?
I'm on YouTube as Chuggaaconroy. I have a Twitter and a Facebook, too.
Awesome. And of course, stay tuned to Game Explained for more on Pokemon and other things gaming too. Until next time, guys. Bye.